Hello, beautiful people. We are here with the phenomenal coach. This is one of our pre-recorded bonus sessions, and I'm so excited for you to meet Sydney Campos. Sydney is a visionary, strategy advisor, transformational facilitator, and best-selling author of The Empath Experience, What to Do When You Feel Everything in 2018, and I'm ascending now, 2023. That's exciting. She's the founder of the Embodied Ascension Academy and Akashic Facilitation Training, co-founder and chief strategy officer of Ascend, and the host of the Visionary Soul podcast. Lots more about this beautiful soul. I will just let you meet her and experience her. Welcome, dear one.
You. It's wonderful to be with you and to finally connect with you. I feel like you've been in my orbit and we have some dear friends in common. And so it's just so sweet to collaborate.
Yes, I'm very happy to get to have this conversation and be of service really to so many who are called to bring their own transformation to the service of others, and really the greater good, the ripple, all the places where we are fractals of one another. And so I know you have your own journey of becoming your own heroine's journey that has catapulted into you into this moment and into this path of service. Will you share a little bit with us about your journey?
Sure. Sometimes it feels like telling stories from so many lifetimes ago, right? It's like I'm so present in like what I'm growing through now. It's like every day is a deeper initiation into more presence and more authenticity and more power, allowing more power to come through. So I'm really grateful to be here and alive now as I am. And yeah, remembering where it all started. I'm actually back in New York City as of like a week, kind of a week back here now. And this is where my journey started. So it's actually perfect to tell you a little bit about that. I mean, I moved here and, like when I was 23 years old, I hit a rock bottom after 10 years of drinking and doing drugs and really just wanting to not be on this planet. I felt so much. I had such a heightened sensitivity, and just being a human was too much for me, and I didn't know how people could do it. I didn't know, and I was just disassociated. But then I also wanted to do things that just turned off, my ability to feel. And I hit a rock bottom with that right after I turned 24, and I really had a choice of, did I want to live or die? And I had a divine intervention where I chose to stay. And from there, I started my spiritual journey. It wasn't all like, yay, and now I'm going to be sober and have this great life. It was really scary. I had no idea how to be, I had no idea how to live. Really, I had to learn how to interact with people, how to listen, I was just so paranoid and so much anxiety. I was a wreck. I had such a traumatized nervous system my whole life from growing up in a very dysfunctional, alcoholic, abusive environment. And I just had no sense of containment or attunement and no differentiation of myself. It was incredibly scary, even after putting the drugs and the drinking down, especially because all my intuitive abilities and emotions and senses I had turned off for so long came back like a wave. And it was a lot. So naturally, I was guided to, healing myself. Like, how am I going to figure what's going on? Who can help me? I will take any help I can get. And I was really miraculously guided to energy healing, intuitive development, a lot of different meditation modalities, and just really, I was just so hungry to feel better. I just didn't want to feel crazy anymore. I just wanted to feel myself. I just wanted to feel like I could, connect in with a deeper sense of my purpose. I knew I had a purpose. I just was so overwhelmed. I couldn't even have a minute to even sit with myself to wonder what that might be. And I always knew I wanted to help people and serve this greater mission of bringing people together and helping heal the planet. And like these, I always resonated with like civil rights leaders and Martin Luther King and Gandhi, and like I always resonated, but there was no way that I was ever going to show up for anything like that until I took care of myself. So that was really, many years. But then I eventually became a teacher of energy healing and intuitive development and these things that had really helped me and supported me, and yoga, meditation, and just all the embodiment things. And this was all simultaneously while building a career in advertising and media and building an agency here in New York, which is now a super thriving global agency. And there came a moment when I was, and I think this is really resonant for maybe some of the people listening to who are maybe earlier on in their path and they're, about to maybe leap into more of their purpose of really serving their mission, serving their business vision, maybe starting a new business. So I was in this agency that, was really like this golden handcuff situation where I had so much autonomy and a great team, but this deeper knowing was like yelling at me to get out of there. Like I had to go start my own thing, to be my own boss, to be free, to travel, to go to these parts of the world that I knew I was just going to have these massive soul retrievals at and just remember so much and heal. And I needed to be free. And so that was a huge start to my path, was actually, leaving that job. It was huge. It was a big deconditioning. And then to have that faith in myself that I could do this. And it started with hiring a mentor who's actually a part of this summit, which I love to see her face. It's Melaine.
Yeah.
And she was someone around that time that I was transitioning. I saw her on social media, traveling around the world, and just I knew her from transformational events that we had done in New York in the same community. And I just reached out to her, like, how are you doing what you're doing? I want to be doing that, but I don't know how. And she's like, well, I can teach you. That's why we hire mentors. You hire someone that has what you want and they help you to learn how to do that for yourself. And then I did lots of other trainings and things and just naturally kind of fell into this space of like, I know that I'm a healer. I know that I'm here to teach. I know that I'm here to serve. What are the modalities and the mentors and the trainings and the things that I feel a deep resonance with that are going to help empower me to have that deeper knowing, that self-belief really rooted in myself of like, I know my unique medicine that I'm here to give, and all these other technologies are just helping to amplify my deeper knowing and remembrance. And yeah, I mean, there's so much more that happened that last the first like couple of years of launching and traveling and starting to work with my first clients and all of that. But it's just been, it's been about 7 years since that time. And every single day is like, I'm in awe of what I've created. And, when we create our own containers in this way, when we can create our own, containers of serving our gifts, serving our mission, serving our purpose in ways that feel most authentic and embodied and real and just fulfilling for us, it's like there's no limit to the creativity, the innovation, just the genius that can come through. And I'm just constantly, I'm so humbled also. I'm like, wow, this has been such a journey, like the journey of entrepreneurship, and then also being a healer and a coach and a transformational guide. It's like the epic alchemical initiation. Like you sign up to transcend time and you in a day in this type of field, like you go through years of transformation and growth. And I think that's my favorite part of it.
Yeah, beautiful. Wow, you shared so much. I think the thing is, I really want to speak to those who may be watching. Like, I love that you went through the whole arc of the saying yes to the next step of the journey. And so I really want to presence that for anyone who's tuning in. Maybe you have already been doing all of the healing work, and maybe you're at this precipice of like saying yes, or you've already said it's like really, I want to encourage. I think I want to encourage through your story. I want that piece to be heard, that you know you're magical and amazing, Sydney, but you're not like a unicorn, and I'm not a unicorn. So it's like, if you have this like story and you've been doing your work, just lean in. Just, if you want to do it, just do it. Just say yes. Like, hire the mentor, do whatever it takes. Put yourself in a mastermind, whatever it takes to just let the light pour out. I feel like that's like the piece from like that arc, and of course you are where you are now. And I hear you, because people ask me this question on interviews all the time, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I've told the story a million times and it's from like 20 years ago. But at the same time, we need context, because otherwise it might, you may seem unrelatable. Someone who's just beginning might just be like, gosh, I don't know about that, where it's like, no, I didn't know how I was going to do it. And so a little bit about, did you have financial security from those golden handcuffs a little bit that was able to float you as you made that transition then? Or did you just jump out of your plane with no parachute?
To be totally honest, like looking back, I would have I mean, there's nothing I would have done differently because it's what happened and it's perfect and it brought me here and I love where I am right now. And when coaching people through similar transitions, which I've done a lot of, like we tend to attract exactly, where we are, but maybe a few steps, our clients are a few steps behind where we are. And we're just like with Malene, I was like, how do you do that? And then my clients reach out to me. I had just left my job and transitioned. I had all these people reach out to me from out of the woodwork, people I'd gone to college with, all kinds of my first clients in my coaching practice were just responding to me authentically sharing on social media this journey of leaving. And they're like, I want to do that. How do I start a business? And I'm like, well, this is what I'm learning like in real time. And here's what I can, transmit. And so looking back, and helping people through that transition, something that probably could have been a little bit more supportive would have been to move a little bit more slowly and really check in on a deeper nervous system attunement level of like, does this really feel safe? Like this is a very big transition and on all levels. And how does your body feel? How's your nervous system feeling? And money and security can be a part of that. It's like, okay, yeah, like, does your body feel safe with like a little bit more in the bank, a little bit more cushion so that there's not so much of this like urgency or, actually a distortion going into the creation of your business where there's this, flavor or agenda of like, I need to get clients or something to make money, and we don't want our service, our soul mission to be flavored with that kind of agenda or pressure because people feel it and it really takes away from the purity of our intention. So, again, I wouldn't have changed anything, but was I a little bit high on adrenaline during that transition? Yes. And was my nervous system completely different? Was I a completely different person than the person speaking to you now? Absolutely. And I needed to just move fast and kind of take the leap and light the fire. And that's a really different way of how I operate now and how I advise people in operating. So no, I didn't really have a cushion. Well, actually, there's a funny story. I remember when I first started working with Malene too, she's like, okay, so how long do you want to take before, you're in this job, it's kind of like you're already over it. I was already just like, I'm having these supernatural galactic spiritual experiences coming back to the agency on Monday. People are like, how was your weekend? And I'm like, I can't tell you actually, like, it's not like I just was sitting around watching TV or whatever. I was like having these, like, I couldn't relate. And I felt like I was compartmentalizing these very real parts of myself that needed to integrate and be embodied. And just, I didn't want to hide or, there couldn't be any more separation. And so, Malene was like, how long do you want to take to like stay at your job and start your thing? And I'm like, well, maybe it would be about a year or something to like say, I think at that point I was like, I just need to save like $10,000. And I was like, I just made it up. Like, that's going to take me a year to do or something. I don't know. It was a long timeline drawn out. And she's like, well, what about like 2 months? Or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds better. I definitely want to leave now. And, so I forget exactly how it all happened, but it wasn't a year. It was like, and I didn't have $10,000. I maybe had like a couple $1,000s, maybe like 1 month of living expenses. And, but there's something magical about, like you said, following the yes. There is such a thing as the magic of the universe and the energetics and the law of balance and reciprocity. When I put my notice in at this job, and it was the scariest thing I had ever done in my life. I think I like cried trying to get the words out. And my boss the founder was like, what are you talking about? We all knew you were going to leave. It was obvious. It was just a matter of time. And it was like this joke. I was like, what? You guys knew I was going to leave. They had like a bet going, with the partners. And so that was hilarious. But something happened. There was an energy like that was diffused in that process of saying, I'm done. I'm complete. I'm going to have a 2-month transition because I had a lot of, responsibility and it's 2 months and I'm complete. I'm done. Literally within 2 weeks, I had an old consulting client come out of nowhere and was like, hey, I have this project to discuss with you, and I go in to meet with them. I'm like, I don't really like this project, but intuitively, I think there's something else that you have going on that I am interested in. It ended up being a startup that he hired me to consult on as marketing advisor. Same thing happened, like literally the next week, another old friend hey, I hear you're transitioning. I need a marketing advisor for my awesome startup. Like both two companies that I love. One about both about travel, actually, right? And I was having this intention to be able to travel more freely, and then I attract these companies that are literally in the travel industry. And I replaced my income. I replaced my salary of the full-time job with two consulting jobs, working with friends and working for half the amount of time. And so as a strategic advisor and coach, I wouldn't just like coach someone in that way to be like, well, just leave it to faith, leave it to the universe and God, and you too will just replace your income magically. Because
Thank you.
we don't
Right.
know, but this is also my experience and has also been my experience in other examples when I have taken that leap, when I've taken that, when I've gone into an edge of investing in myself. I just did that the other day and I felt an enormous diffusion of energy and a release and then a huge expansion. It still happens. Investing in myself, dropping something that's no longer in alignment, saying no to things that are just like really, maybe a part of the mind is like, I should do that. It's safe, it's familiar, but it's the body is like, no. And you go into these edges and you get more clear on what you really want and what is your hell yes. And you get really clear and you only are available for that. Life does become more magical and the synchronicities do start to show up more and the support that is here for all of us to live into more of our mission. It does show up in really mysterious ways. I know you know what I mean.
Well, there's so much magic that you're speaking to, and it's so funny because the hell yes, oh my God, I'm having all these pieces. Elaine is coming on, and she's going to speak about human design. And like for example, I know with my design, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. But that's not always the case. Sometimes the hell yes is also has fear wrapped up in it. And so learning, I want to just presence that because not every moment on the growth journey, at least for me, has been a hell yes, the things that were aligned. Sometimes it was a hell yes and, other things. And I know that for other people, like for everyone, it's a different way to move through it. So I want to tie this when we bring Melaine on for everyone to connect to your design also to know what's the best way to move through the decisions because it is different for everybody. And that's one of the biggest things I think that I've learned that I wish I would have, well, anyway, it is what it is. It's the wisdom, right, of the experience. The wisdom of experience is that we are all so unique. Just because it works one way for one of us, it doesn't mean it's going to work the exact same way for somebody else. And that goes for like all of our clients and all of us that you're seeing here on this event. That's why I'm bringing such a, sort of beautiful symposium of offerings and gifted souls because it's like, find what is right for you. I really want to say that. And there's something that you said. I also do not advise people to just jump ship. There's actually someone that we know that I advised not to do that as she was my client, and she looked at me and did it anyway, and that she regretted it the whole time. And I was like, I should no, anyway, it's just so interesting. So I'm always a stand for like, keep your nervous system maintained if you go into scarcity. And this is for anyone who's in a practice, early practice, wherever. If you're wanting to be of service to people and you mention this and you come with this need of, I want to be of service to you, but I need you to hire me so I can pay my bills. It's like, it is so sticky. It is already like all the divinity that's available in this kind of service work kind of just gets muddy because now there's this need for survival as opposed to like, here I am, this outpouring of the light of my heart in your direction and you're coming to receive that. So there's a lot that you said, and I love that you have this title of strategic advisor in your title because it's like, yes, let's replace some of the income before you just,
Yeah. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Human design is an incredible technology. With all my clients, I always do an energy assessment with human design, gene keys, astrology, and then just my own intuitive read on unique energy systems because we are all very, very unique and have different operating response mechanisms that help us tune into that, intuitive knowing of what is right for us, of what is the resonance. And some people also take longer to process. That was something that was really a breakthrough when I came into that understanding because I, like you, am a sacral generator and I have that it's a yes, and I know right away, and I know right away. And not everybody is like that. Some people need more time, like emotional authorities need more time to process and really sit with the different potentials. And And it's so useful to know these, these things about each other and ourselves. And then we can just really bring a new dimension to our relationships. But the thing that we all do have in common is that we have a nervous system, and we get to be really attuned, and we get to really go at our own unique pace and get familiar with what that is. And more, I find for myself and others, it's just way slower than anything we've ever been taught, than anything we have modeled around us.
Yeah.
And this, I would say, is the greatest initiation that any facilitator, coach, or guide is going to be tasked with on their path, is to slow down and to be able to really truly listen beyond the words that are being spoken, and to listen to the energy, to listen to what someone is really feeling, expressing, sensing, emoting on all levels. And this is actually like my biggest passion in my work, is to like help people attune to the subtlety, because this is where actually everything is happening.
Well, I'm so excited that you said that, because I really wanted to segue to the ascension, and I love the subtlety because it's so much all about that refined, subtle energetics, like the subtle energetics. So perfect segue, perfect segue to, you wrote this book, I'm Ascending Now What? And then you mentioned like I'm going into the advertising, agent. I think that's what it is, but the agency that you're going into, and I'm having all these galactic experiences. So talk a little bit about your own, what you may call ascension process. And the subtleties, because that's such a key. I mean, gosh, when I got that, it was like, boom, like, boom, the subtleties.
Well, I wrote a 400-page book about it in detail for those that really want to inquire.
It's 400 pages. Oh my God.
I wrote a 12-step program. That's my history in AA. And I just, in part of my journey about 6 years into sobriety, I was like, okay, what's next? Like I put all the drugs down, and what's it really about now? It's about authenticity and embodiment. So I call my work embodied ascension. So ascension is not the experience of ascending out into the multiverse and being all galactic and your starseed self. It's actually what we're invited into now on this planet, is to embody our essence and in our cells, to be deeply in the body and grounded in our body, to be present as ourselves. And that's what the book is about. And there's a 12-step process I brought through of how to do that I myself have lived. And just tuning in intuitively to who's listening, what feels most useful to share, especially for all those who are really seeking to deepen in their facilitation skills and capacity to really guide life-changing transformation and remembrance. That's really all we're doing here. We're all saying the same thing in different ways so that different people can hear us. Mm-hmm. And we really have a responsibility to template what I feel is a new example of leadership and facilitation. And that requires that you go through an embodied ascension process where you allow more of your essence, your authenticity, your truth to land cellularly, and that you feel it and you have access to this, and you can operate in a more multidimensional way beyond just your mind and your logic. And I made a video about this earlier today because it was coming up with clients around like people who just want to drop the sense of like the pressure and attachment to an agenda, like in a coaching session with a client or facilitating an event or a retreat or whatever it is, an online event. It's like, how would it feel to just feel so comfortable in yourself, in your cells, in your energy, and you're not keeping track of anything? You're just fully present and available to listening to the moment and listening to the energy that's naturally unfolding in the experience, which is usually a co-creation, either with you, like channeling your guides or your higher self or whatever authenticity is expressing, or with other people, and really becoming an instrument of finely tuned awareness and listening so that you can lead when it's your moment to be the source point of whatever divine intelligence is wanting to come through. But more importantly, you can actually step back when it's time for someone else to step in and stand up. And this is really the new paradigm of transcending hierarchy, transcending power distortions, and just all the wounding we're all cleaning up from lots of other lifetimes and karmically. And, we're here to be leaders together. And we're here to elevate each other and also our clients, who may at some point have like learned to put people on pedestals, or they're playing in a teacher-student dynamic or giving power away too, or that kind of thing. And we're just here to really to shift the whole playing field into a space of great presence and equality and reciprocity, where everybody feels truly empowered to be themselves and everyone feels safe to be fully present as themselves. And this is how we transform the world. And it doesn't require a lot of effort. It's not something that I find you can like write down on an agenda that you use to facilitate a session with. And it doesn't actually utilize so much of your mental body. We're really called to attune and more finely tune our emotional body, our energetic bodies, and just our intuitive abilities, our intuitive capacity to really read between the lines and become more discerning of when it is appropriate to articulate and to fill space, or to just listen and frankly, like let a lot more silence, pausing, movement through the body happen instead. So yeah, that's what feels important to share.
Yeah, the expanded awareness, I feel like is one of the big things that you're speaking to, but I also feel like it's important to presence meditation because there's so much. You said that, you started a meditation practice and a yoga, it was sort of like in the beginning of your journey. And I just can't imagine any of us arriving to this place without a stillness practice, a movement practice, and a stillness practice. And this is a marriage. And so, because you said at one point, you said I couldn't even sit still long enough to feel what it is that I was being called to. So it's like there's the first layer, and then there's like this advanced graduated level that is being able to have this expanded awareness into the space that allows a different kind of facilitation and leading. So I feel like that's a really important thing to anchor. And as you were speaking, there's a moment, there are these things that I've learned from some of my teachers that are so key, for example, like teachers that would, it's so humbling at different teachers at different times that have allowed me to give to them, or that they've received my gifts, and that them receiving my gift was a form of facilitation. And to really learn that. And then over the years, like I remember I was at a retreat once, we were at Glastonbury, this is a few years ago. And there was a woman, she's a friend's sister now, but she had been, I think at that time, it was her third program with me. So it was her like 1, 2, and this one was, we were traveling all over the world to these vortexes and doing all this work. And at one point, and she had just come into the identity of herself as the great cosmic mother. And so she was calling herself the cosmic mama, and it had just come in. Like she got to Glastonbury before our retreat and it had just come in. And so here we are in this like big expanded open space, and she's like holding everybody in the retreat as the mama. And she goes, Anahita, can I hold you like a baby? And so it's like in that moment to tune in here, like I've been her mentor. The way to facilitate her into her empowerment was to go and let her hold me like a baby.
Yes.
Because for me to not give her that, then how's she going to be the cosmic mama? And so I just, I feel like that's what you were speaking about, is like I'm getting even goosebumps because it was such a powerful moment. Like I knew, like as I was, all right, let's do this. You're the cosmic mama. Here I come, And I think that also speaks to just, you spoke about the releasing of hierarchy, which I do want to presence is different than, different levels of consciousness. I think hierarchy is a little bit more about power dynamics. And then we're going to have one of our presenters speaking about elderhood, which is different. Like we can be equal in our value and equal in our beingness of love and divinity. But that doesn't mean that we're always equal in our ability to hold a frequency. And so there is such a thing as elders, which I feel like they are such gifts. And I'm excited to bring that conversation in. So how all of these things get to coexist at the same time. It's like there's no hierarchy, and I get to go there and be the baby for the cosmic mama. And there are elders on the path that if we're of service, I pray that all of us have elders, because we all need a place to go to.
So refreshing. Yeah, I think what you're speaking to, I would name capacity. So people that just have more life experience and the embodied wisdom, and then therefore have greater capacity to ground energy, to ground energy, to ground the energy of a group field, to be a container and containment for bigger energy. And I thank God for my cosmic moms and, the people that are many steps ahead of me, but that have walked a similar path, but are holding that template and example of like the kind of nervous system that I know is possible.
Yeah, beautiful. That I want to come back to this, the ascension, because I know that there were times on my journey where I had friends specifically, I would say, that were experiencing what they were calling ascension symptoms. And they were having a very difficult time grounding themselves. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say, like when you're working with someone and that's coming up?
Yeah, I've been through it all. Embodiment is a trip. And literally, it's like
Literally,
plant
yeah.
medicine, like the body is in full journey happening right here. And yeah, I've supported a lot of people through that kind of experience. It could also be called like Kundalini awakening activation. There's all kinds of words and jargon and things, but it's like ascension, embodied ascension is your soul coming into the body. Not every body is attuned to the frequency of the soul and what the soul is wanting to bring through, and all the other aspects of your soul, by the way, which are coming in from other dimensions and universes in some cases. And they can, just speaking energetically, it's like you may have some very high frequency energy aspects of yourself that your body may not yet be resonant with receiving and integrating. So it's just like it will frequently appear to me in like healing sessions or facilitation, where someone's energy is trying to land, but it keeps bouncing out because it can't actually fit the energy, the frequency that the body is running, the current is not resonant. And usually in the ascension process, people are going to go through detox. You're going to have this is happening for a lot of people right now. They're having a deeper awareness of inflammation that might have been really low level occurring, through their whole life, but suddenly they're like, "Oh, I'm in a lot of pain," and they're feeling inflammation. Or different, Western medicine will give all kinds of diagnoses, but really what's happening is the body is detoxing stagnant energy and memory that is obstructing the full current of your field from flowing through all the different circuitry and channels of the body and the energy field. And so the body is going to need to go through a bit of a detox. It might happen physically, emotionally is very common, really as we expand to receive higher dimensions and quotients of light, stuck traumatic memory, emotional energy, unprocessed, unmetabolized energy, just stuck usually in the lower body in these nooks and crannies, is shame, guilt, all these like kind of deep, dark secrets, even, and even unconscious things inherited from our lineage are going to come up to illuminate, because we have the capacity to feel them, whereas our ancestors might not have. And so a lot of us alive on the planet right now are here to clear immense timelines. And, I call it like starting a new biology, because that's what we're doing. I frequently am shown, in sessions where it's like dusting off people's DNA. It's like you have a film strip and there's like dust or mud on it. That's the old and inherited ancestral memory, or a people pleasing pattern or poverty consciousness or whatever it is. And it's like, we learned that lesson, we're done, but it's inherited just through my cells because that's the family I chose to come into. And then we can move these energies out through feeling, through somatic processing, through, frankly, just I find the more you're willing to really live your purpose and be authentic, the healing naturally happens, and the stuck stuff naturally comes out of the body, and the detoxing will naturally happen as you choose to continuously expand into more of your desired direction. And, there's all kinds of other ways to support, but just generally, definitely detoxing is going to happen in the ascension path. And then that can bring up a lot of different physical responses for people. I went through a period in like, what was it, 2018, I was having a big soul integration. I didn't really know it at the time. I was supporting a lot of people through this, but it's always hard to like see yourself. And I was having full-on seizures. I would have like panic attacks and seizures and have to go lay down and just think it was really scary. I thought I was going to die, frankly. And I knew on some level I was okay, but it felt also like my body was processing terror. It's just coming to me right now to say that, like it was processing probably an inherited memory of terror, of shock trauma. And then the body was seizing, not only to come into resonance with this higher frequency aspect that wanted to embody, but also to like physically shake the shock trauma memory and the terror out of my system so that that frequency could be released and the new frequency could land. And that was a really vulnerable time because I didn't really know who to go to for help. I was the person that everyone else is going to for help with that. And I didn't really know who I could trust. It can be very vulnerable. It can be hard to even put words to some of the experiences that people are now having. It can be hard to articulate. I find this often. People will come to me and they're like, and I, I'm pretty psychic, so I can tell right away what's going on in their field and I can see, but they have a hard time articulating, and actually people can be having what feels like to them, and if they go to a doctor, the doctor might tell them this, like they're having a bipolar episode or a manic, a manic episode, or even like a split personality. It can feel like that when you're going through a soul integration. It can feel like two or multiple beings kind of inhabiting, can feel very confusing and very vulnerable because it even brings up shame to even ask for help. It can bring up shame of like, what's wrong with me? And
Yeah.
so, I just want a presence that is totally normal and far more common than we are aware. And I'm really glad that this is coming up in this conversation because as healers and leaders and guides, we have a responsibility to be permission for people's presence, whatever they're going through. There's no shame. There's no shame. And that's like my personal commitment is to like, what kind of planet would we live on if we resolved shame from our consciousness?
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was just so, yeah, thank you for sharing that. The soul integration, I feel like is a really key piece that you were bringing. And also the importance of community. I mean, I feel like just to be in community, your community could be 2 people, it could be 3 people, it could be an online group and program, it could be your immediate family, but a community where there's an agreement, and so when you're talking about the shame and like how to move through this, I just feel like, gosh, the best medicine is really just community. A community that knows and understands and is on that level of energetic frequency and expansion and permission to, be evolving together. And so, yeah, that feels like so important. And I know what you're talking about because it's this purging, right? You're talking about it as detox, and it's like, man, these purges, I feel like sometimes require so much patience because I know that my ego is like, chop chop, chop chop. And no, there's no chop chop. Like, you need more rest, you need more of this, you need more of that. And then I would want the more patience I've been able to offer myself, the more I've been able to offer my clients. And yep, this purge might take, I don't know, we might be on for another 4 or 5 months. We might be on for a year, who knows? But whatever it is, this is what I know without a shadow of a doubt. It is followed by an expansion, and it is worth it. It's just like the in-breath and the out-breath. It's always worth it. This is life. It's always worth it. And I know, like, I really, gosh, I don't know. I've gone through so many cycles. I've lived on, I don't know if you know this, I've lived on 3 different Hawaiian islands over the last 3.5 years. We have been taken, our whole family, taken to the Big Island, massive transformation. Taken to Kauai, massive transformation. Taken to Maui, massive transformation. And it's like, oh, come on, like, where are we going?
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's like, because you know the power of these islands, but I say that again just to say patience, patience, patience and presence. Because it's still something I work on. I still get to just remind myself, yes, I would like this purge to be over. And I get to lead anyway. I think that's the other thing, if you want to share about your process on being on your own journey, and we still do the deep work, but then also being in service. So I know you're in a beautiful moment of high, I can tell, because you're having magical things happen in New York, but the stuff keeps coming up, right? Life is like, you're you, if you've said yes to yourself. And so to do the work while you're in service to others,
It's part of being a multidimensional embodied being. It's all here. It's all that movie, everything, everywhere, all at once. I mean, perfect. Yes, it's all here right now. And it's all here. And I'm learning to be less attached to the highs and the lows also. Like, really I'm frankly, what's coming up for me just today, I had a call with a new investor partner for my startup, and we just transitioned into this total quantum healing. She was like, "Can I work on your field?" I was like, like speaking to this crypto like hedge fund manager, and she's also this like super quantum galactic priestess. And these are the kinds of people I want to be associating with and creating at a very high level and just normalizing. Like,
Yeah.
of course, we can be talking about like multi-million fundraising, and then in the next moment dropping into a somatic healing, like energy healing experience. Of course, like that's how we love to play. And yet what was coming up for me in that session, and this is in the very real context of deciding to do like a potentially like multi-million-dollar deal with somebody in the future and be long-term collaborators, I hope. What was coming up was, before deciding to really commit at a deeper level, and it wasn't going to happen today. It's like we're just kind of in the dating process, which is, part of fundraising, and talk about patience. And and what came up was like, let's really see each other first. Let's like, and we were both powerful seers. And she was leading this. She's like, I want to see you. She said, I want to see what distortions you're working with. And I was like, this is amazing. Wow. Imagine if like all business leaders were empowered to like operate at that level of authenticity and presence, and that we could really be that clear in our agreement fields before deciding to create together. And what came up for me, it feels a little edgy to say, but I mean, I'll just share like what came up, what she helped me to articulate and see in myself, was a deeper layer of like, it arises as like a codependency with my business. Even still, it's something I've worked on for years and alchemizing. And I think with all things we have to alchemize, there can just infinitely be deeper layers of these core lessons and core wounds, and we might never be done. It might just be the thing we came in to master. And so for me, it shows up as this like a codependency, like kind of an outsourcing of my value to success happening in my business, or, an accolade coming in, or attention. And again, I'm no stranger to this pattern, but to feel it at an even deeper level in my body in a way that I hadn't before, and with a witness. So there was no shame, and it was just total transparency. Like, yeah, that energy is here right now. Because there was an energy of me wanting her attention, because I think she's really cool, and she's reflecting to me a version of myself that I'm like, I'm going to be like that, And so there was a little bit of energy she caught of like I'm sourcing some energy from her attention. And it's just like what we were talking about. If you go into a client container and you need money from someone, that doesn't feel good. It's a leaky, muddy, it doesn't feel good. It creates a distortion in the way of your divine gifts and service and purpose. We can't play that game. And I definitely can't play that game, but I can't even play that game in even the most subtle little way of even wanting attention from somebody. So that came up just today. And then I had to really feel that somatically. And there are many layers to that, and other lifetimes and all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to continue working on that, to do whatever I need to do to let it go, because I can't. So many of us, maybe all of us now, we're called into excellence. We're called into integrity, full authenticity, full transparency, no distortions. This is self-mastery. And we each have our unique way of attuning to these states, but they feel more and more required as our world gets more rearranged and dismantled every day. It's like we got to be fully in our power. We can't have energy draining to these subconscious games and agendas and survival programs.
Powerful. Thank you for sharing that. I know you said that it was edgy, and it was of value to me, and I know that it was of value to everyone that's tuning in. And it's also just a piece around coming into that integrity requires the descent into what we don't want to feel, what is not present to feel, and then you really bringing it into feeling it somatically. Because I keep saying this, and it's like the feeling is a somatic thing. The feeling happens in the body. The feeling is not, I feel my emotions. It's like the feeling is here. So for you to say, I'm feeling it, I'm feeling the layers of it, and I get to keep working with it. And I think this is ultimately the invitation for us as we're coming into this integration, as you called it, is, empowerment is to feel somatically in our bodies what we rather not feel with presence. And I don't do this too much, but I catch myself sometimes when it's really edgy. I still want to go to the desired result. I want to go to feel what I desire before I have fully felt what is not working.
Mhm.
You know? And it's a constant like catching up myself. But did I go there? Did I go there with presence and love? Did I breathe into it? Was it alive in my cells? Did I fully breathe compassion into it before I came back into the desired, that it's not this sort of facade. It's not like a vision board. It's a vision board of what I want, but I haven't cleaned up what's not working. And it was really beautiful the way that you shared that. So I wanted to just kind of connect the pieces. Thank you.
My pleasure. Yeah, reality is getting really interesting these days. I'm in awe of who I'm attracting into my field. It's incredible. Yeah, I never could have imagined, I never could have even put on the vision board like what I'm experiencing. So it's working.
It's a beautiful time, I feel like I'm personally having such a fun time connecting with people. It started a little bit with this project, but then there's other collaborators and connections that are coming in ways that they haven't in years. And I'm just like, wow, there's so much magic here. Like, cool. I'm up for it. Different people. Let's have a call. Let's have a call. Let's have a call. I feel like I'm having calls with people the way that I was in the early years when I was first building my business, except the calls are of a different caliber and the people are of a different caliber, and it's really cool. I'm having a good time right along with you.
I
So
relate to that. I feel you completely. And it feels like we're reconnecting. There's like a wave. Maybe there's a big hibernation the last couple of years or something. And now I feel that energy of momentum of like collaborating, connecting, and kind of like sussing out like, okay, who's on my team again? Like, who are my other allies and my soul family? And like, kind of like, who's online now? Like, I mean, like embodied, like online, not just online.
who's there? Where's my playing? It's really special. Yeah. Just yeah, I'm feeling the support and like enjoying being of support, and it's all really beautiful. And with that, I know you have some stuff coming up. I really want to make sure we have time to share because you were sharing with me some things you have coming up.
Oh,
Tell us how people can like come in to work with you and connect, and then we also have a free gift, but I want to just be aware of what you're specifically offering.
thank you so much. Well, my new book just came out in June. It's called I'm Ascending Now What? And it's a manual to embodied ascension. So it's full of tons of practices. And if you resonated with what we just kind of discussed around feeling, going into the layers and unraveling distortions and just being more yourself and learning resources for like how to be yourself in a moment when a tough feeling or situation is coming up, like how to be calm, how to be present, how to trust your intuition. It's all there. So please check that out. I hope that that really deeply supports you. And then I have two really beautiful invitations I'd love to share with the group here. So we talked a lot about attuned facilitation and the ability to deeply listen and also operate from this intuitive heart-led leadership, right? And my favorite way to support people in stepping into that for themselves and either becoming an intuitive facilitator or adding that into the modalities that they're already offering as a coach or a facilitator is through my Akashic Facilitator training. And this is a 9-week training where I teach you how to not only read the Akashic records, but really we use that as a vehicle for you to explore your own intuitive gifts and signature style of facilitating intuitive sessions. And it's a life-changing program. It's incredible, lots of deep support. And then, like you said, also, I actually give my students the opportunity to facilitate for me. So there's really this, towards the end, there's really this beautiful like completion journey of like the student becoming the teacher. And many of my students have become teachers who now have their own trainings. And it's just an incredible community. And then my other opportunity is I'm hosting a retreat in Bali. I'm going back to Bali after years away, and it's this feeling of like a homecoming. And we're going to be having a beautiful retreat November 5th through 12th called Ascensia, which means to embody heaven on earth. And we're going to be staying on site at a spa. So living in a spa in the jungle and going to all of my favorite sacred sites and water temples, and just really focusing on nourishing the body at the deepest possible level, and really having space held for you to connect to your vision and your purpose. And we'll also be playing and practicing with intuitive facilitation and, movement, meditation every day, and just playing, honestly, playing in paradise with Soul Family. So would love to have you there if you feel called. And then my free gift for everybody here, which I'm so grateful to offer, is a super abundant bundle. It's actually called the Abundance Bundle, and it's a collection of some of my favorite meditations and healing transmissions that are designed to help you attune to abundance, which is really a nervous system expression, I would say, of deep receptivity, and calm, and clarity. And so you can listen, you can just receive these transmissions, like hit play, go into a deep meditation, get a cellular update, and just feel more abundant, feel more expansive, feel more connected to your gifts, and just feel more energized. So I'm really grateful to share that with everyone.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for offering that. The Abundance Package Bundle.
Yeah.
All the things. The Bali retreat sounds wonderful. The Akashi facilitation sounds wonderful. So thank you for bringing just your graceful, connected presence. Thank you so much, and sharing your light. And I think we have a special, so everyone who is tuning in here on this recording, we're going to pop in together live into the Facebook group. So if you want to ask questions, you can ask questions live. So if there are things that came up for you during the session and you're like, gosh, Anahita, ask her this or ask her this, it's like, just come and ask her yourself. So we will put that right here as you're watching exactly the date and time that we're going live inside the Facebook group. You'll need to be inside the She School Community Facebook group to interact and engage with us, but that'll just be a time for us to connect all together. So since Sydney couldn't be on with us live. Thank you so much, my love, for coming and being with us.
Thank you. Such a pleasure, such an honor. And thank you for bringing together such a powerful community.
Absolutely. We are a powerful community. Aloha, everyone.
Um,